Greetings, fellow 50p collectors. Slightly tipsy coin snatcher here. So, I'm sure you've all had it, but sometimes we all get one of those weeks where everything goes tits up. It goes tits up on the Monday and it finishes on the Friday, tits up. Not a good week at all. This week I've had, how do you put it? Well, not issues in work, but in nature of my job is that I go to various different homes, houses, and liaise with the clientele at these various properties. And this week has been one of those weeks where I've had my eyes opened to how you might say, how the other half live. So not a great week in work from that sense. In a good sense, I've taken more money this week in work than I have in a long time, which is good from a sales point of view. But in terms of meeting different people and seeing how different people live and the challenges that people meet in their day-to-day life, this week has been an eye-opener, and it's been stressful and all the rest of it. So thankfully, this week is drawn to a close work-wise. On the coin front collection-wise, I've ordered coin off one of the Facebook groups, and that coin hasn't turned up. This is now the third issue I've had with the Royal Mail in the last 2 months, where the Royal Mail have a signature to say that I've received a delivery when in fact I've been out at work and haven't even been in to receive the delivery, which can only mean that the postman has stolen the coin. I've had a coin turn up that was paid for 6 weeks ago, and God knows what happened to that coin in the system, but after 6 weeks it turned up, and I had a seller who basically tried to con me into paying twice, even though he'd been refunded by the Royal Mint, or the Royal Mail, sorry. And then I've had a second coin that has disappeared into the ether, so to speak, with the Royal Mail claiming that they have a signature to say it was delivered when it's physically impossible, because I would have been at work at the time it was delivered and wouldn't have signed for anything. So that's currently being investigated by the Royal Mail. So hopefully we'll have a satisfactory resolution to that. And then there's just been a few other things as well. So not the greatest week in terms of spiritual well-being, but we've finished off the last of the Jack Daniels, and I think I got in from work at 20 to 7, so that's probably half of a bottle that I've nearly done since I got in. And as you know, I'm not one for drinking. Now, I do like a big bottle beer when the summer comes, and if I'm feeling poorly or feeling depressed or down, then I turn to the Jack Daniels purely for its medicinal purposes. Bear with me. So we got the caffeine, or the Jack Daniels, and the caffeine-free Pepsi, because I finally realised that I can't be drinking caffeinated drinks after 5 o'clock, otherwise it keeps me awake at night. So I'm strictly on the no caffeine colas from now on. And I gave up smoking on the 3rd of January, the green stuff and the regular stuff, after 30 years. And, well, I've got to say, it was a hell of a lot easier than I expected. Most people, when you speak to them and they talk about giving up smoking, it's probably one of the hardest things you can ever do in your life. And a lot of people find it difficult to give up smoking. Well, technically speaking, I was never a heavy smoker, but I could get through, 3 packets of tobacco a month, which would cost me £100. and I could get through 2 ounces of the green stuff a month, which would cost me £300. So a £400 habit on top of the other habits that I have was getting a bit excessive, and in January I decided I would stop. So I actually gave up smoking the green stuff for a year, and then I had a relapse and went back on it, and then I decided enough was enough, and it wasn't worth the money, and it wasn't doing me any good whatsoever. So gave everything up on the 3rd of January and haven't touched a cigarette or one of the other things since. The last week, if anything was to turn me back to smoking, the last week would probably have been the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. But kept strong. One of the things I am is extremely stubborn, and if I turn my mind to something, i.e. coin collecting, then I will normally go in and do it balls deep, so to speak. And giving up smoking was equally my stubbornness. So I've given up smoking. I haven't had a cigarette from the 3rd of January, and today and the last week has been one of those weeks where it's taken every bit of my mental power to not go back to the tobacco or smoking. Now, saying that, it's not all bad news, because I get paid commission for my job, and in terms of commission, I've probably had the best week that I've had in a long time. But with that comes aggravation. So we're here, it's a Friday night, we've had a delivery from the Royal Mint. This one's actually managed to turn up without the thieving scumbag cunty fucker postman stealing it, and we've got the dinghy diver's coin. So I've already shown the bunc version that I bought off eBay, which somebody broke out from a set. Oh, Jack Daniels is playing on me already. But today we have the bunc version from the Royal Mail, or the Royal Mail, the Royal Mint. And here we have, so far to date, what I think is possibly one of the nicest 50p coins that's been released. I think the design on it is really nice. You have 1824 here, which is the year that the Lifeboat Institution was founded, and 2024, which is the current year, and you have 200 years of the RNLI. Now, back in Northern Ireland when I was growing up, this anchor with the chain or the rope through it was the symbol of the Boys Brigade. And indeed, I served in the Boys Brigade from I was 6-7 years old right up until I was 18 years old, at which point you couldn't serve any longer, you had to leave. It's well, yeah, I was going to say it's an emotional topic. It's not really an emotional topic. It is what it is. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution is there to save lives at sea, and they've done that magnificently for over 200 years. They're a non-governmental funded organisation, so they get all their donations from charity, and every single penny that they receive in donations is necessary. It's required. Now, you all know my thoughts on dinghy divers and people who come to the UK to basically abuse the system that we have here in the UK, and it seems like a lot of these dinghy divers are experts at it. You know, I've nothing against people coming to this country and making a new life and contributing to the country. I do have a problem when you have boatloads of people washing up at the shores of Dover, and they're all men of working age, and they're here for nothing else than to take advantage of our generosity, our compassion, and our our general niceness to our fellow humans. So normally I wouldn't open up a brilliant uncirculated pack that comes from the Royal Mint, but I thought tonight, probably the Jack Daniels helping as well. I thought tonight I might open it up and see what's inside. Let me just reduce the magnification down here on this because it's a bit much. So let's open it up and see what's actually inside this little pack. So we've got the coin, which, as I say, is a magnificent looking coin. I really, really like it. And if we open it up inside, we got the obverse of the coin, which obviously shows the portrait of King Charles III. And as a royalist, unionist, I may not agree with everything the royal family does or the way it behaves, but at the end of the day, I support the union and I support the royal family. I think it's one of the things that makes the United Kingdom unique in the world, that we have such a long reigning monarch and that it survived to this day. And also, as a Northern Irishman, much as I appreciate the fact that I'm a unionist, I also appreciate the fact that Ireland is an island and at some point needs to go back to being an island and being called Ireland. There should be no north, there should be no south. Everybody of Ireland should be called Irish, and the north-south thing shouldn't come into it. So there's a little bit of information there about the lifeboats. There's a little bit more. And if we pop this over, we've got one of their inflatables and a little bit more information. And much as I disagree with the fact that the RNLI, to a certain extent, feels like an extension of Uber, in that the dinghy divers come over and at the first sign of trouble, the RNLI will go out and rescue them. They rescue lives. To a certain extent, they don't rescue people, so it doesn't matter where you're from or what your background is. If you're in distress on the high seas, they will be there to rescue you. I do disagree with the fact that these boats are sent over from France. They're not boats that are capable of carrying out the channel crossing safely, and that the people who are on these boats are 99.9% males, and they're all between 16 to 30 years old. There's no women, there's no children, and it's completely unacceptable. France needs to take control of this situation, and the British need to take control of this situation and rein it in. We've got a little bit more information over here on the foundation of the RNLI. And for anybody purchasing these coins, there is a small percentage of the retail selling price that will go towards the RNLI. And I think that's entirely applicable and it should be applauded. I don't have a problem with that at all. If ever I was at sea, I would not like to be drowned or to be left to be drowned because we didn't have a Royal National Lifeboat Institution. So therefore, I'm 100% behind the organisation. I just don't agree with the current circumstances where they're being taken advantage of. Our country's being taken advantage of. And the politicians are spineless in they won't act on it. And I don't mean act on the RNLI. I mean they need to act on these immigrants. So when the RNLI bring these people onto the beaches, then we need the British government to have people or forces on the beaches that lift these people and take them and process them in the correct way. And I think that is the issue, that is not happening. These people are effectively left to infiltrate the UK and that's exactly what they're doing. So there we have the bunc version of the coin, and over here we have the colour version of the coin. Now, looking on Facebook groups and in general, the attitude seems to be that this coin has been very well received. People really like this coin. And orange, which mimics the colour of the lifebuoy rings, also the same colour as the half of the boats, and I think it looks really, really nice in colour. 100% I like this coin, and 100% I'm behind the RNLI. A little bit more information there, which will be most likely exactly the same information that's on the bunc coin. Now, I did consider having a rant about Facebook, buying coins on Facebook, and then the coins not turning up. I took a step back from that because it's not the seller of the coin who's at fault. It's purely the Royal Mail that is at fault for not delivering the item as per the contract they had with the seller. There's quite a few things I could rant on, but generally the ranting is there more for a bit of fun and a bit of amusement than it is for any of the sort of hard truth that lies behind these things. So I'm not going to have a rant about coins not turning up, and I'm not going to have a rant at the various Facebook groups. I disagree a lot with what goes on in the Facebook groups. I think some of the Facebook groups, they basically try to sell you a load of old tat. I just think a lot of it's a con, but it's up to the individual to take responsibility for what they buy and what they don't buy. And it's not my place really to comment on that. What I would say is, in finishing this video, because this has gone on for quite a bit longer than I expected, I'm just going to have a little swig of the Jack Daniels here. Bear with me. That's about a third of the bottle I've had now in 45 minutes. Not bad for someone who doesn't drink, really. In general, what I would say is that, coin collecting is there for everyone. Collect the coins, have a bit of fun, have a bit of a laugh. My channel is not so much about discriminating or picking on people. It's more about not being politically correct. If there's one thing I can't stand is wokery and people feeling that they have to be politically correct. It's amazing what people will say on an online platform compared to what they'll say in private. With my channel, you get exactly what I think. So what I say in private and what I say in public, there's absolutely no difference. Here we have a lovely coin. I fully respect the organisation that this coin has been commissioned for. I don't fully respect everything that they've done in the last couple of years in terms of being an Uber service for the dinghy divers, but 200 years cannot be overshadowed by what's happened in the last couple of years. And I suppose to a certain extent, if the dinghy divers started washing up on the shores of Dover dead, then we would be holding the RNLI to account. Well, personally speaking, I wouldn't be. Right, now anyway, we're coming up to 20 minutes, and I would just like to say in closing this video that the cyclists have started taking to the road again. The nights are getting longer. The amount of daylight per day is going up by a minute a day, and these lycra clad cycling egotistical, self-appointed masters of the road are starting to come back out in force. So I dare say my next videos will focus on the cyclists. And for anybody who's watched this video until the end, I think the next video is going to be about Jeremy Vine, the BBC Two presenter, who is so unbelievably woke that, well, I'll not say what I would do to him, but I'm going to put my views across on Jeremy Vine on the next video, and a couple of the phone-ins that he's had recently, and we'll leave it at that. But for now, for this video, that's it. And you know, as I say in all of my videos, peace and love, because I genuinely mean it. You know, we're a world full of humans and we don't need to be fighting each other. It should be about peace and love. But for now, peace and love. Coin Snatcher out. Drop a comment below, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.